the Christmas angel looking on, it's time for a taste test. Georgie likes crispy things, so I'm going to take this guy in the corner here. And it's just about 11 o'clock. These are warm, but not overdoing it. Ooh, look at that. A little bit of good stuff on the bottom. That's actually an end, so we'll see. That's not indicative of the best of the best. Well, it's time to make cinnamon buns. The scalded milk is cooling in the sink. I use my iron skillet here filled with cool water. When it gets down to 85 degrees, I'll mix in the yeast. 1.5 cups of milk to 3 cakes of yeast. I use the dry powder. Eggs are out. Everything's being brought to room temperature. It cooks a lot better that way. And I'm going to start warming the oven. I need to let the sponge rise once I've made it. And warm oven is a nice way to do that, although I do turn it off once I'm ready to introduce the sponge milk mixture. Time to check the temperature of the scalded milk. I like about 80 degrees. And as you can see, it's pretty close. 85. Not bad. Not bad. I think we're in good shape. Alright. Don't want to kill the yeast, you know. That would be a bad thing. It's time to add the yeast. I've used a variety over the years. One time I was a purist and I used cake yeast, but recently I've switched to the Fleischmann's Active Dry. Looks darn good. The problem with these things is always getting the equivalents. I use 3 packets to be the equivalent of 2 cakes. Seems to work pretty good. So after cutting off the tops, we dump in the yeast. Anybody can do this. Smells pretty good. I guess you have to be have a baker in genes to enjoy the smell of this stuff. I don't know. I grew up with homemade donuts when I was very young. Bread in the oven, things like that. Apple pies with apples picked right off the trees in the back, so on and so forth. So I have a slightly different perspective of baking, I think. My grandmother Heckenbach was my inspiration. So anyway, we stir this up for a few minutes, and then we'll add some of the flour. Okay, this is about as dissolved as we're going to get. I've been stirring it for a couple of minutes. Now the next trick is to add 1 cup of sifted flour, give or take. There we go. Shake it off a little bit. Put it in there. Stir it without making too big a mess. Gotta feed the yeast. So this, we're going to stir completely. As you can see, I can usually tell when it's good by the smell. Yeah, our sponge is about ready to rise. Now this needs to be put in a warm space and allowed to double in bulk. That I've found takes about 1.25 hours to 1.5 hours. The warm space is going to be the oven. I've set it to warm, but I'm going to turn it off because I don't want to cook this. Warm is about 170 degrees, which is actually a little too warm. So what I'm going to do is open the oven now and let it cool for a few minutes. Not too much, but we'll get it down to like 90, 100 degrees, maybe 120, in that range, and in will go the sponge. The yeast is about to go, the cake is about to go into the oven. Of course, it's supposed to double in bulk. How do we tell? Well, we put our little thing on here. It's about 3/4 of an inch. We can go here and you can see it better. 3/4 of an inch, going from 1 to 1 3/4. So we need about an inch and a half when we're done. To make this work, I use a towel which is dampened, and I drape that over the sponge. So now draped, the sponge goes into the oven. And as I said, the oven was preheated to about 170, but it's been open for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's now cool to the touch. So that's just a nice warm spot. It's now 6:54 a.m. and I'll start my timer. As I said, this should be done in about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half, but I'll check it within an hour, see how it's doing. While that hour is transpiring, I'll set up the rest of the ingredients which are already out. Georgiana and I did an inventory yesterday just to make sure. So I'll be setting all those out. They're coming up to room temperature, those that were in the refrigerator. Things like the eggs, things like our lemon. I need some lemon grinding to do, and I'm going to also grind some cinnamon. See how that works. I've done this before. Georgiana thought it made a big difference. The oil is in the cinnamon bark, and grinding releases the oil. So we'll try this again, see if I have any adequate cinnamon. Otherwise, I'll just use dry powdered.